Hi guys, Lonevic here, and today it's another episode of Honest Talk, and this is the part where I'm giving my subjective, honest opinion. I'm trying not to hold back with both the positive and not so positive elements of the game, and today Trudvang Legends, the pretty fresh arrival from Kickstarter, which me and I bet a lot of you were waiting for such a long time, and right now we at least have the core box to play with, because all the add-ons and all the stretch goals are still way ahead in the future. I'll be probably making a separate video in a few months about those things, but for now I've already managed to get a good few games into the campaign, and I feel that I'm ready to tell you about my feelings and my opinions about Trudvang Legends. Hopefully these will maybe, I don't know, help you decide whether you can grab the game or not, or just as a curious thing, maybe you would like to share your own opinions in the comments and we can have a discussion or something like that. If you like the content that I'm doing here on my channel and you'd like to support the channel, you can always click the like button under the video, hit the subscribe and ring the notification bell to be notified about new videos upcoming on this channel. And right now, let's dive into the positives of Trudvang Legends and then the not so positives of Trudvang Legends from Simon Games. Alright, so I had a tough time preparing the list of the good and the bad about this game, because as we were playing it, as I was playing it, I came to realize that some of the things that some people will consider good about this game, other people might put into the not so good category. It just depends on the tastes really, but that's with a lot of especially campaign and narrative driven games, I feel. But here I have a few special points which you will see that will be repeating themselves kind of in both of the categories. So first off, let's talk about the good stuff. Now, definitely the good stuff is the world that's behind the game. The Trudvang Chronicles, this is my first encounter with the Trudvang Chronicles. I haven't played the RPG system, but I think I will right now. I'm a big fan of Scandinavian Norse mythology, basically, so this is something right up my alley, with the trolls and the draugrs and the garms and all of those, you know, things that are kind of akin to, and even the environment with the mountains and the snow and everything. It all like reeks of Scandinavia and, you know, and the Norse myth. So this is definitely going to be on my to-do list to check out Trudvang Chronicles as an RPG system, and the world here supports the game very well, and the game's design, I'm talking here about the UI and the graphics and everything, the you know, the artworks are supporting each other very, very well. So this is definitely a big plus when it comes to the mood setting and everything. Now, the second thing is that the rules for the game and how the gameplay kind of flows because of those rules doesn't allow for a lot of downtime, and it doesn't allow for a lot of boredom. Sure, there are a lot of things that you need to read from this fat book of sagas, but let's be honest, I've seen thicker ones, and this 126-page booklet of paragraphs, I think, is the right size, more or less. It fills the sweet spot when it comes to the length of the narration in the paragraphs and the dynamics that it introduces into the game, because if you sometimes go into narrative games and you look at the book of narration, which has like 500 pages, I won't be mentioning titles of the games right now, but I have a few that are like, you know, encyclopedia thick, then you're like, oh my god, this is gonna take a year or two, and it's kind of discouraging in the beginning. And then you open Trudvang Legends, there's the book of sagas, this is manageable. It's a lot, there is a lot of stuff here, but this looks manageable. I think I can play play this. So this is great. And then after you go through the Book of Sagas, then you have the phases of the game that you play on the board, and I'll come to the board in a moment. And those phases are also pretty quick, because you've got the basic ones that you start the game off. It's like, okay, so let's travel, move around the board if we can or if we want to. Then we've got the engage if we have enemies. If not, then we do the events, and they go pretty quick when it comes to that. And then we have the explore phase, where we have to interact with the points of interest or the locations and stuff like that. And then we repeat the process until we go back to the Book of Sagas again. Pretty logical, easy to remember. And when it comes to that, it really flows very well. And we're playing it, we weren't bored at the table, which with some narrative games can sometimes get a bit of a problem when some phases take too long or the combat takes too long or something like that. Here we didn't encounter this kind of problems, which is great. Another positive thing that I will mention is definitely the idea with both this adventure board that you have here. No spoilers, we've got a few cards here already. So, the adventure board that has those sleeves where you put all the side quests, all the personas and everything. And also the map, which also has those. I would lift it, but I've got stuff laying around here. I don't want to remove it right now. So those pockets that make this world on the map not only constantly changing, but also it's kind of persistent, because you start each of your next adventures with the world already changed in some way, but by your previous encounters, and you see it, but it doesn't make this a legacy game. Unlike games, and again, I'm not throwing names here, games that tell you to place stickers on a map that later you need additional sheets to reset your game and peel off the stickers gently, and then have another set of stickers ready because the previous ones, the original ones, are already used up. Here you just sleeve the cards, you just unsleeve the cards, presto, there you go. You can reset the game without any problems. And when it comes to the teardown part and the setup part of the game, your map and your adventure board between your adventures are already saved. You just need to fold them up, put them back in the box, there you go. And then when you want to play another round, you unfold them, presto, chango, there you have it. And it's a brisk kind of thing to do. So definitely the idea for those pockets in the adventure map and the adventure board and the map are good, and I would like to see this incorporated in some other games, maybe using some other mechanics or something like that, because this is a fresh idea, this is a nice idea, and I encountered it for the first time. If you know any other games that use something like this or used it before, Trudvang, you can write the names in the comments, make me aware of those, I will gladly check them out. But for me, this is a first. And this is, in my opinion, a good idea when it comes to the teardown, to the setup, and to this feeling that you're really changing the world in your game without making it a legacy game. Really, really cool. Okay, so as we are talking about the components, I need to say also about this point of interest board, which is also a pretty interesting design that I have seen for the first time, where you slide in the cards with the points of interest and you can't see anything until you pull out those covers here in each of those windows when the game tells you, and then you find out what's underneath. It's a cool way to follow the story. It also makes it easier to save the game in progress if you need to for any reason. And it also makes the game a bit less card heavy, because I imagine that if we didn't have this, we would have to have a separate deck of cards for all those points of interest, and you would have to, go with, okay, so we're starting adventure 7, so we need this tile of cards, and then when we go to this location, we need to find this card and place it here or pull it out. And here, it's easy peasy, so definitely a bit helpful with the flow of the game. It's an original idea, like an advent calendar kind of thing, as to get for Christmas, and every day before Christmas you open up one, take one chocolate or whatever out from inside. And it's definitely an original mechanic, which is a plus. I always credit originality in the game design, even if the ideas are a bit missed or a bit not well fleshed out or not well used. At least the designers had an idea, and you need to give them credit for that. And here there was an idea, and it was also well executed. So kudos for this as well. And I'm not ending my positives here, because let's talk about the sheer amount of this game. This is only the core box, and you will get, if you went all in like I did, you will get, the stretch goals, you will get the add-ons with separate stories and so forth and so on. And here, for the main story, for the core box, you get 171 cards of the story. And this includes the main quests, and this includes the side quests and all the things connected to that. The saga book is pretty thick. So there is a lot of playability here. And because of the branching paths in the story, there is a replayability factor that sometimes doesn't really come through in narrative-driven games, which I've encountered a few that are pretty linear when it comes to the worlds and the quests and the path that you have to take. So this is also a really cool thing that, the narration kind of feels pretty dynamic. And maybe the last thing that I would like to mention, because I don't want to make this video too long, but there are a lot of things that I would like to say positive about this game. The last thing I will say is about those baggies for the combat and for the tests and everything. I simply love the idea. And this is probably, apart from the world and the setting, this was the thing that convinced me to go in on the Kickstarter when it came out, because I like this idea of not rolling any dice, not drawing cards or anything like that for your character, but having this expanding baggie of tokens, of runes that you will be pulling out from, luck factor also in it, right? But you can kind of increase the number of runes that you need through doing some stuff during the campaign, during the quests and so forth and so on, and and manage this bag a bit. Although it resets between every adventure, because it would inflate probably too much at at higher levels later on, but it's a cool idea. And we like this push your luck mechanic in combat, where you draw 3 tokens and you see whether you missed or not, and you want to calculate whether you can draw another 3 without risking it too much, and then placing them on the miss track, those missed tokens, and figuring out whether you want to use your blue status abilities or not, or maybe you don't want to risk the red ones. So this is pretty cool. I like it, and it also helps save the game really quickly, because you just need to throw in your tokens into the bag, and there you go, your character is saved, and that's it. Also, the chronicle points that you have on top, the game, your party doesn't have any money in this game, but you're collecting the chronicle points, which you can spend on different things. Sometimes on effects in locations when you are exploring, sometimes to trigger some items in combat, sometimes for other things. So I really like this idea. It's pretty fresh as well, and this is definitely something that keeps the game interesting. We really enjoy pulling those tokens out of the baggies, seriously. Now, okay, so I've talked about a lot of positive things about this game. Now I would like to go to the not so positive. I won't call them negatives, and if you can see in my reviews, in my Honest Talk videos, I never call them negatives per se, because, well, it's my subjective opinion. So this is like the things that I didn't really like, but some people might. And I will also mention a few positives on the way during talking about those not so good, so let's roll into this. First things first, when it comes to the core box of the game, the amount and the variety of enemies and minis can be a bit disappointing for cool minis or not fans who are used to getting, millions of miniatures and hundreds of variations and stuff like that. But remember, this is only the core box, so there will be a lot more when that came from. But there's like 1, 2, 3, 4 types of enemy minis, 3 bosses and 6 characters, so the numbers aren't staggering. The minis are of pretty good quality, but like I said, some people might say that this is too little for Seaman. I'm satisfied, I'm okay, I have enough minis to paint, so this is the number for me, and I like the design of those minis, especially this boss guy. I don't know what his name is, but he looks, there you go, he's cool, he's nasty, he's got big horns, he's fat, I like him. This is my guy. I want to kill him. So this is, you know, just to mention this fact. Now, going to the real not so goods in my opinion, let's start with getting back to this. I've said a lot of good things about this point of interest board, but the one thing that I will say as a negative is I fear of it for its durability, because this is cardboard, this is thick cardboard, layered cardboard, and you need to pull it out and put it in a lot of times, and we already need to be very careful not to split this layered cardboard when we are pulling it out. And punching out these holes also was a very careful thing to do. So I don't know whether it won't fray at the end of the campaign, whether it won't look a bit used, let's say. And also sliding those sheets into the point of interest board is also a pretty careful thing to do, and we've already kind of skimmed one of the edges of those sheets while doing that. So you need to be really careful with this. So the not so good thing is that although it's a great idea and an original one, I'm really afraid of the durability of this solution in the long run if you want to play more than one campaign effectively. Grant you will have with the stretch goals a few more campaigns and probably only one point of interest board, the one from the main box, so you will be using it quite often throughout all of those, even if you want to play each campaign only once. So I don't know about that. Hopefully it stays okay. After 6 games, it doesn't look too much worn. One of those windows kind of split delicately, but right now we're very careful with it. But yeah, it can happen. The second thing is that the size of the cards that they are using for this game and the fact that you need to slide them into those pockets means that you won't probably be sleeving those cards, or at least a lot of those cards. You won't be sleeving them, and this is kind of also an issue of durability because those pockets are very tight, especially in the beginning. Now some of them are a bit more loose, but I'm thinking of, you know, if somebody is not careful enough, whether you might damage a card or two, or, you know, the pockets might get torn out of the board. I don't know what the design is. Didn't happen to us, but I don't know. We are very careful. We take extra care when playing this game with sliding the cards in, sliding them out, pulling those windows and everything, because we are kind of afraid not to screw anything up. We want this to be as mint as it can be. So although a great idea, it fills us with a bit of an OCD when we are manipulating the things with the board and the point of interest board. So I needed to mention that as a not so good thing. Maybe, I don't know. If you've played the game, if you had any accidents with destroying any of those components, let me know in the comments. I would really like to find out if some people had any unhappy accidents with this, or whether you think it's really durable, if you've encountered those already, and share your opinions, please. I really like to know. The next thing is that the pockets where you put in the cards are great for saving the game, but they're also a drag when you want to play multiple games. And what I'm saying by that is that, for example, we're now doing a 3-player campaign and I'm also playing a solo, and there is no easy way to save both of those. So I'm, you know, helping myself with taking a photo of the layout of the board and writing the numbers of the cards which I uncovered in the solo and which we uncovered in the multiplayer game, and then we have to sort through the deck and prepare for the game, right? So if you are playing only one campaign session at a time, this is a great idea for saving, but I think that a separate sheet for just writing down the stuff that you have, that you've collected, that you've unblocked or uncovered, would help this immensely. Right now I've got an Excel, a photo, and, you know, and I'm going by that, but all the other narrative campaign games accommodated simultaneous plays, many simultaneous plays pretty easily. And this is the first one that I don't see an easy solution of doing that, and you have to figure it out on your own. So that's the not so good part in my opinion. But again, it's just a little complaint, right? It's nothing that destroys the game in any way. Now, let's talk about some other things. You know, Simon got us used to good quality of minis and a lot of minis, but they also got us used to player boards that are completely flat, nothing dual layered, nothing special about those. It's just a flimsy piece of cardboard with you know, stuff printed on it, like Cthulhu Death May Die, like all the others. Definitely, if this was a more high priority game, you know, high grossing game, this would get probably some boards like for Zombicide or Massive Darkness, but well, we have to do with those. So when it comes to the component state complaint, this would be my only one, apart from the size of cards and the way that we use them and the point of interest board, and this would be my last one. But when it comes to the mechanics of the game, now let's talk about the nitty gritty. And here, the opinions will be divided, I think, because even for me, in my head, I can't really say if it's a plus or if it's a minus. I see some things in both, going both ways here. So how you manage the items in this game is like, if you watch the how to play video that I made before, is that you have a stack of items that you collect and you only can use one at a time, the one on top. And when you use it, it goes to the bottom of the stack, and then you can use the next one and the next one. And before every adventure, you can put the stack in whatever order you want of your items. Now, this is a kind of a not very popular concept, I think. I can't remember a game where I've seen something like this happening yet. I understand why it might have been incorporated, because you get a very limited amount of those chronicle points to use during the game, and each item usually requires chronicle points to be paid. So if you could launch like 3 or 4 or 5 during one combat, then you would be just, you know, draining those chronicle points very, very quickly. And here you have to think tactically about how to layer those cards, and if you unblock one, if you use one and unblock the other one and you can combo those, you can. So it can be pretty satisfying. But I can see in my head, and also I kind of feel that there is this kind of narrative complaint here that, you know, your character is collecting this much gear, and why are they only able to use one every single time and then just go to the next? So it's like, I imagine my character having a backpack, and while they're in combat, they just pull out one thing, and I pulled out a wand, like randomly. Can I use it? Yes. Boom, I'll use it, put it in the backpack, pull out something else. And it's like, okay, now sword. Damn it, I can't use the sword. Well, now I'm stuck. I can't use anything else, right?
That's not a scalpel. Well, that's not a scalpel.
There is no preparation to the combat where you can, you know, shuffle the items that you will have in your hands, your armor, or everything like classic RPGs got us used to. Here it's a bit different, and like I said, some people will find it a good thing, a refreshing thing, an interesting twist. Some people will be complaining about that, and yeah, that's just the way it's going to be. But I needed to mention this in the not so good, because I feel that this might be kind of disputed. And I'm seeing this video is taking pretty long, so I will just mention one more thing that I put into the not so good category, and I'll be wrapping this up very quickly, hopefully. So the last not so good thing that I feel in this game is the rulebook, and the amount of space that they devoted to some of the rules. Now, as much as all the cards and components are explained pretty clearly, the combat, for example, is so lacking in explanations and examples that it's crazy. And especially that you have so many skills here that allow you for a lot of different combinations and a lot of different interactions, and to have those interactions not explained in the rule book, so that we have to question, we have to ask ourselves questions all the time whether we can do that or we can't do that. There is a lot of house ruling going on when it goes to combat, and I don't feel that this is the amount that should be. Some house ruling, some delicate, you know, questions, and some curious combinations when you creatively create something that the designers of the game didn't predict that might happen, for example, or the testers, that's okay. But the amount of questions here when it comes to combat is a bit too much for my liking, and we were starting house ruling those things and just going through the adventure and like, okay, so let's say that this is the rule and let's follow this from now on. If it's a good one, we'll probably have it easier, and if it's a bad one, then we've maybe made our lives more difficult, but let's go, right? So This is definitely something that I would fix in the rulebook. There should be a FAQ somewhere for this, or some more player help with those kind of things. Okay, guys, let's wrap this up. So Trudvang Legends from Cool Minis or Not and Riot Minds, based on the Trudvang Chronicles RPG system. It's a brilliant game, brilliant narrative game in my opinion, full of original design ideas that that fit into the whole narrative and the whole gameplay. I love the sleeved boards and the easiness that it allows you when saving the game. The point of interest board is really original as well. There are a lot of minis. Well, the minis are of pretty good quality. We really enjoy the combat system with drawing stuff from the baggies and making those baggies expand with new tokens and stuff. There is a lot of saga content here, and remember, we're still waiting on add-ons, so you've got your adventure cut out for you together with the side quests and everything. So if you want a narrative game with some originality to it, that's not just another dungeon crawling RPG, or just not another paragraph reading game, but it has some twists to it, it has some original mechanics, some original components, it will make people curious and interested, and this is definitely it. But please remember that there are a few things that can become problematic over time, and I'm talking about those design features. So maybe the pockets or the point of interest board will become a bit frayed or used over time, and they look like they could be damaged. I'm not saying easily, but they could, so be careful with those when you're playing the game, be aware of that. And some mechanics, like for example the item shuffling or recycling items, might be strange for some people, might be a point of complaint. For me, the biggest one is definitely that I can't play two separate games at once easily, because the board's only allowed to save once. You need a creative way for that. But all in all, Trudvang Legends is a very happy, good add-on that I'm very satisfied into my collection. I can't wait for the expansions. I can't wait for the all-in to arrive, but now we're enjoying this campaign. I'm enjoying the solo campaign as well, and soon you will be able to check out the first chapter of my solo playthrough, full of spoilers. I'm warning you right now, it will be full of spoilers on this channel pretty soon, so stay tuned, check it out if you're interested in the story, if you want to see how it plays and how it goes. For now, thank you very much for watching. If you liked this video, if you like the content on my channel, please support by clicking the like, clicking the subscribe button, ringing the notification bell to be notified about new videos on my channel. And right now I'm signing off. My name is Lone Vic. This was Trudvang Legends from Cool Minis or Not. See you in my next video pretty soon. Bye bye, have a great day.